Welcome back to this week's edition of After Further Review with Coach Heiss Northern. I'm the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm getting ready for senior day with old Adam. They play their last home game at the Bear Center later on today, and then I'm going to get ready to check out some more football on the HBCU side. I'm calling the game on the Open Mic Broadcasting Network, so I'm looking forward to getting back on campus and seeing some people and calling the game. Hopefully it's a good game. And it's going to be interesting on my head. I always look at what the crowd's going to be like, whether they enthused or not, but just trying to see if people are going to show up for the game, depending on the weather. But I'm looking forward to some more good football. Last weekend, the SWAC and MEAC had a load of real good football games. A lot of one score, 1 point, field goal type games. And it was good, even though, some people say the quality of play wasn't good, but the games were good.
Well, look, and your Jaguars, man, they the BGs keep staying alive, huh?
Hey, man, remember we talked early in the season about ugly wins.
Right.
Ugly wins keep coaches employed. I don't care. The fans, they going to complain about coaching unless you win at 56-0. So that's the way I look at it. They're going to complain regardless. But, I think they went back to the freshman quarterback, a local kid from Baton Rouge, that the first half, and I'll tell you, my wife was watching the game, and I think I came home around halftime of the game. And she was not happy with the play of the Jaguars. But the second half, it sounded a little bit different in the house. So they got hot at the right time. And, those guys made some plays. The defense stepped it up. And that's all you can ask of a team. You just want to win. And at the end of the day, the record is going to say the record. They're not going to say what the score was to every game.
Right. I'm laughing when you reference to your wife. My wife is a big Cowboy fan.
Oh, man.
If you listen to her, if I could record her and get away with it, her watching the Cowboys, then it's gold. It's gold. But I probably wouldn't be married neither. And I got an anniversary coming up on the 9th, man. So I'm going to stay humble and low-key. But, boy, it is pure entertainment. I know she's a Cowboy fan, but she is a football fan. And it's just amazing to me, man. And look, kind of sexy, Coach, that I got a woman that understands sports.
Yes, I think I looked out. My father-in-law played football at Grambling, and my wife and her sister, they grew up going to Southern games from as early as they can remember. And if they didn't go to the game, they would listen to it on the radio because my father-in-law's one of his best friends was the Southern radio broadcast guy, Henry Baptiste.
Yeah.
So, we all grew up listening to those guys, but the crazy thing about it, man, my daughter probably can't tell you how many downs it takes to get a first down. So, it skipped a generation, but it's good to have women that are knowledgeable about sports. But I'm glad. Like I say, we can get to talking about some SWAC and Prairie View football now, and we'll catch up on the wife talk later.
I know. It's crazy. Prairie View escapes the clutches of the devil, man, from Itabena. Come back with the win. And like you said, I don't care how I got there. I got there. A 2-point conversion that was good, but then no good. A PAT that was missed. And an onside kick that was recovered but didn't get recovered. Isn't that something?
Hey, man, sometimes you need games like that. Like I say, unfortunately, I've been on the other side of a last-second loss in Itabena. And like I say, you done got off to a great start, and then you end up losing the game. But, Prairie View didn't start off that well and ended up, making plays at the end. So that's what it's all about. Like I say, you'll take that win, and you can talk about it in film session. And like I say, that's a long ride coming back through cotton and sweet potato fields and catfish farms when you done lost the game from Itabena all the way back to Texas. So that ride was a little bit smoother, the back not hurting as much, and the box of chicken that you get after the game probably tastes a little bit better when you win.
No doubt about it. Now they have an enormous task on hand. Playing FAMU, along with Jackson and even Alabama State, seem to be finding their stride at this time of the season. And Prairie View, although they're coming in with a 2-game win streak, they're going to have to play a little bit better than what they've done the past couple of weeks, but at least they got the taste of winning in their system right now as they face off against these Rattlers.
Yeah, I think part of it, I'm telling people, the different people that I talk to or different shows that I've done, when sometimes you play to the level of your opponent, then sometimes you'll step your game up if you know you have a tougher opponent. So the guys may pay a little bit more attention in the film room. They might, lift a little bit more, whatever it takes to get that edge coming into this week, because you don't want to get embarrassed, or you don't want to get embarrassed at home. So sometimes guys will give a little bit extra, I should say, in various phases of getting prepared, whether it's, when you're getting your reps versus the scout team, or when you're working on your pass rush, you may watch a little bit more film on the offensive lineman that you're going against. Like, man, I see I can beat this guy, so let me see what I can beat him with. So, sometimes guys step up to the plate when they know they got a little bit more competition at hand.
Right. Well, stepping up and delivering is all that's going to matter, as that game will be at 2 p.m. Central Time. Of course, you've already let it be known that you'll be on the mic with the open mic, and we're truly excited about that. We got some, reports coming in. This is a time of the year where people start looking into the future, especially if you're on the outside looking in of the championship run down the stretch. Things are appearing to going to be making some sudden changes at Grambling, and there's being some strong whistles about Huntsville, Alabama. Coach, are you hearing anything like that?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple things going on, and a lot of times you don't hear that with a first-year coaching staff where you're going to make changes mid-season. You probably figure like, we'll get through it, or that's part of the adjustment process, unless as a head coach you making suggestions and you don't see the fruition of your suggestions. I'll put it like that. Mm-hmm. But as a head coach, you're not, in my opinion, you're not making suggestions if it is a strategy or a depth chart issue. You making decisions. So it's that 51% versus 49% vote. And the head coach always, in my opinion, has 51. The other thing, sometimes, like I say, and I can tell you this, just say when I was a defense coordinator at Prairie View, and Coach Frazier may have made a suggestion, and me and Coach Sewell laugh about it to this day, where he made a suggestion. He wanted a certain guy to guard a certain receiver we were facing. And when we switched that guy that had never played on one side of the field to the other, in 2 plays, it was a touchdown given up by that guy. We sort of looked at it like, it's the reason why we don't do certain things, but as an assistant coach, it's your job to make the head coach look like he's the best coach in the world. So, but at the end of the day, you don't see that in a first-year coaching staff unless it's just blatant disrespect or disregard for suggestions. And I don't think that's what's happening at Grant. Number one, the quarterback wasn't playing well, and they seemed a little disjointed when I watched their offense, whether it may be a 3-step or quick passing game situation, and the quarterback may take a shotgun snap and still take 3 steps. Now he's throwing the timing off, so his receivers are now covered by the time he's ready to throw. So it's just like a little disjointment in the offense, and then they couldn't get the running game going. So it's a lot of that. And they saying the issue is with Coach Dooley, but I know that guy has put up points everywhere he's been, pretty much as a coordinator. Maybe not so much as a head coach. In Huntsville, they looking more at the top because of the way they lost that game to Southern. But it's my understanding that Coach Maynard may still have another year left on his contract.
Yes, he does.
And I don't know if we in the HBCU business, and I don't know his salary, of being able to buy out contracts. But, Huntsville sort of booming, so they might have some guys that'll say, just say if he's making $200,000, some booster may say, well, look, man, we'll see if he'll take $150 to go on about his business. One of those types. And I don't know if his assistant coaches have contracts, because some states, the assistants can now get 2-year contracts, so you don't end up with a guy basically coming up there in the last year or last 2 years of a guy, and then he get let go in 1 year. You move your family. So there's a lot of that's going on now with guys checking to make sure they got coverage of, insurance or what my contract look like for next year, and, all that type of stuff. But, like I say, it's just rumors until you find out it's true.
Right. Now, we're going to go into this world of coaching for a moment.
Yes, sir.
And the way I kind of compartmentalize certain things, you got 4 head coaches, okay? You got your head coach, who is the head coach of all head coaches.
Yes, sir.
You have the offensive coordinator. He is the offensive head coach. You have your defensive coordinator. He is the defensive head coach. And you have your special teams coordinator. He is the special teams head coach. Now, I believe in the philosophy of empowering the people that I put in position to do their jobs. Mm-hmm. Okay? If I didn't trust them to do their job, I'm not going to put them in that position of failure, because if they fail, I fail. But as they are going along, I'll use the broadcast. We got a young, talented crew, and I empower them to do it. But I kind of oversee, monitor, and check and see what's going on, and then I make a recommendation, and then I'll make a dictation. So
yeah,
a recommendation is I'm giving you some wiggle room to try to figure this out. But if you hadn't figured it out, I'm about to dictate this is what's going to happen. Okay, yeah. And we won't deviate from that. But sometimes, this is just my opinion, we'll let the building block of friendship get in the way of some business decisions. Do you see that being a problem sometimes?
Yeah, I do sometimes, because in the coaching world, number one, you're dealing with, some people say like a fraternity type situation, where you go on the guys that you know most of the time, or you go on a suggestion of somebody that you trust. So just say for me, I got into collegiate coaching because Coach Doug Williams had a real good friend, Coach Michael Roach, coached me in high school. And then when he was looking for a young coach, Coach Roach brought my name up. And then ironically, Coach Williams and I had just done a radio show in Baton Rouge, because I had won like some student athlete award, and I was on the radio, and Doug so happened to be on the radio the same day as me. So it's like some coincidences that take place. And then to move forward, I got let go at Grambling, and because Doug Williams called Coach Frazier, I ended up at a minimum getting an interview. And then like I say, sometimes you knock it out the park once you get into the interview phase of things. But a lot of it goes to who knows you and who can vouch for you on the staff or with the head coach. And some of it is, will you put your name, or it's basically like, will you put your paycheck on the line? So I move it even further. So Coach Harrelson, who was my teammate at Southern, I think he was doing like analyst work at LSU when Coach Sewell left. And I brought, Coach Frazier knew he needed a DB coach. He brought up some names, and I said I would like to bring Coach Harrelson to the table. And he already had some people. So, we go through the interview process, and this is no lie. I give Coach Harrelson the questions that are going to be asked during the interview process. And Coach Frazier, after the interview, said, man, he sounded like he knew the questions that would come. I said, yeah, he prepared well, Coach. But then moving forward, after Coach Frazier says, Heist, we're going to go with Coach Harrelson, he brings me in the office and said, we're going to go with your boy. But if he messed up, both of y'all gone, one of those types. And some guys, I'm gonna say some brothers, especially when they at PWIs, they don't put their name and stand up on the table for another brother. And then you wondering, how did such and such get this coaching job? Or if you look at certain coaching staff, if you look at some last names, you'll see who they related to, and then like, oh, now I see how this joker got a job and hadn't played a down of football, or like they say, can't coach his way out of a paper bag. But, you know, he knows football, but he can't draw from personal experience, which I think means something.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, as we say, the cat was out the bag when we talk about the Grambling situation. If the moves that are saying, you know, because it's the target right now is Dooley, what does that do for him? Because I think he's still got a lot of football in him. He knows the game, but this can create a problem of your coaching career, can it not?
Most definitely it can, because people see you one way, and then when you have the slightest of struggles, we tend to focus on the struggles instead of the good things that you put on paper, that you put on film. So, like I say, I hadn't got deep into, like say, deep into the weeds and all that of what all is happening up there. But like I say, you hear the rumbles and the rumors, as they say. But we all know that joker can coach some football and he can get talent. So now it's just a matter of putting it all together at the right place. And sometimes it might take a change of scenery to, you know, like I say, get the name and get it back right. You know, or maybe do like some of the things that, you know, people suggest. Go maybe do some analyst work somewhere with the right person. And then once you work under a certain person or a certain school, then now people all of a sudden think that you can coach. You know, you got your name back because you sat under X, Y, Z, and they put up 40 points a game. And now you got some wrinkles that you can come back to the table with.
Well, you know what? Because I do know about Dewey's coaching, you know, expertise, and he can coach some ball, and he could talk a possum out of a tree when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah.
Okay, and my you know what would be the ultimate project, in my opinion, for Dooley, not only to reestablish himself, but to even prove his worth even further. Let him loose for 5 years at a place like Valley.
Yeah.
I would love to see.
Yes.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut it. Go ahead.
Nah, I think sometimes you need that reclamation project with the right support, with some things in place to sort of ensure that you'll be able to get guys and keep them there. So if you give him a place, in my opinion, like Valley, that can go into Memphis and get some kids, you can talk some kids in New Orleans, out of New Orleans that may be overlooked or maybe getting, you know, Valley is a place, in my opinion, you got to bring you in 2 or 3 good classes of high school kids and hope they play well but not too well that they get recruited out of your place. And then sort of build it like that. And then you can get some of the Mississippi JUCO kids that might think that they should be somewhere else. But you got to have an infrastructure and a plan in place to keep them up there almost year-round in summer school and all the times that you can with your OTAs, and whether you lifting them to get stronger or running them to get a little bit smaller. And now, you know, in a year or two, you might bring in some young guys. Hey, we're going to take our lumps, but stay here, guys. We're going to be good in years 2 and 3 if you stay here.
Well, and here's why I'm focused on this. And when I say this, I'm not saying this in a negative way, but, you know, people interpret whatever they want. Dooley has the type of personality and attitude where I believe he'd go in there and thinking and knowing he can turn Valley around if given the time and support, as you just mentioned.
Yes.
And now
I think any coach gonna have that mentality, but yes, with him and knowing the connections that he has, I would agree with him.
Right, because he has a strong recruiting line from Mississippi. Okay, now the only gray area, and I know this is gonna seem crazy, would the money be too low for his taking? With what they would be able to offer. But I think he here I am talking like the man's gone, but whatever it is, what it is, right? My job is to talk about what's going on, and this is what's going on. It is what it is, and he knows that I don't have nothing personal against him. We just talking. As a matter of fact, I said he's a hell of a coach. That's why I'm thinking. And then Coach Wade, I said, dang, they throwing me out. And I'm still over here.
You still in the office.
Yeah, but it is what it is. We just talking because I know somebody would see the value of what Dooley could bring to the table.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And my thing is, could it be? Because now we also have the type of personalities that once you've been to the top, it's hard to be back at the bottom when you've seen and done some things the way you've been accustomed to doing things.
Yeah, and you know what? And I talk about that to people, having been a head coach on a collegiate level. And to be honest, sometimes when I was coaching football at Brookshire Royal High School, it was hard for me to sit in some of those meetings listening to suggestions from head coaches. And I'm like, man, ain't no way in West, this going to work. Or being picked over. This is no lie. One time, I got picked over. They needed a defense coordinator at Brookshire Royal. They decided, or the head coach decided, to name the middle school coordinator, the defensive coordinator, over me. Look, and guys on the staff in that meeting were like, Coach, like, what are we doing? Like, Northern is sitting right here, and the guy, for whatever reason, I have my thoughts, did not want me to be the defensive coordinator, and I'm trying to think, I may have coached tight ends that year or something like that, and the kid that I signed ended up signing a scholarship. The couple of years before that, I had coached the linebackers, and I had two linebackers make all district on I think we may have been like a 2-8 team. You don't see stuff like that. So, I've been, it's hard to listen to some jokers. And I would tell people this, sometimes especially when I was a defense coordinator at Grambling or Prairie View, I knew I worked so hard on breaking down film that, to be honest, sometimes it may have been hard for me to take a suggestion from Coach Frazier, because I knew I focused in on one thing, and he had to focus on getting the special teams right, the buses right, the meals right, the offense right, and I knew I did one thing, and like you say, we could talk about it like, Coach, man, I got this, trust me, that this is what we going to do and this going to work. And, it worked out for us, but it is hard sometimes to listen to jokers, especially when you done put in work and you've done things to have success.
Well, we'll see how the story unfolds from Ruston, Louisiana, but like I said, I still think he has a lot of football in him if the inevitable happens. What's going on for this weekend, Coach? Any games that are standing out to you and you say, I got to track this one if I can't watch it in person?
Who does Alabama State? And I looked at it earlier. I'm trying to think of Alabama State.
Alabama State is actually, are they playing Grambling or Bethune-Cookman?
Let me see. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it super quick. I hate doing this while we on the call.
It's all good. It's all good. Because I guest called, I went over it all this week, and it's like I said, it's escaping me as well. Alabama State, they're not playing Jackson because that's next week.
No.
They are actually, I want to say they're playing Grambling.
Yes. So I think that's going to be interesting. An interesting game, more or less. And the Texas Southern Alcorn game might be interesting as well. But other than that, like I say, I'm doing a Prairie View game. Valley got Jackson. I think that's going to be a slobber knocker. Bethune at Southern. If Southern show up ready to play, which I think they will, because they've been on the road for a minute, I think they're going to show up and win that one. And then the Pine Bluff, Alabama A&M game may be another interesting one. But if I had to put my money on somebody, I would probably say A&M even though it's at Pine Bluff. I'm not sure if it's Pine Bluff home or not, but I think if A&M probably, if they got to taste the Southern out of their mouth, they will show up ready to play.
Right, and especially if the rumors are true about what's going on, it might be a rallying cry to get around their coach and support their coach too. So we'll see that us against the world does work in certain times of the season and uses toward the latter part of the season. Now,
Coach, can I ask you something, since we're talking about, we were mentioning the Pine Bluff deal. Had you got any wind of what happened or what's going on with the alleged huddle account access over there with the Jackson State team?
I've heard about it. Now, see, now I'm gonna leave that one alone for right now.
Okay, so let me tell you why I brought it up, because you and I oftentimes talk about signal stealing, and that is, I would think that's a different form, and I don't think it's signal stealing. Somebody said they had their playbook, so it's a difference between having a playbook and having huddle account access, because depending on how they have their huddle account layered, just say if I'm coaching at Jackson and a player brings me the password, now I can watch the same film that I get through the SWAC access, but if I have access to Pine Bluff's practice film, I can go in and see, all right, depending on how they practice, I can look and see what are they planning on doing versus us on 1st and 10 or 3rd down. Now, if I can see that, that's a different ball game. But if all I have is regular huddle access, that does not help me as a football coach, because I already have the film of every game that they've played. Or, sometimes it used to be we would exchange 3 games, but I think now is any game that's played, any coach on your staff can go in and pull it down. So that's why I brought it up, because we talked about signal stealing, and I don't think that is signal stealing. And I don't know any coach in college football that if they had access to a team that they were playing, practice film would not watch that. Joker could say, "Oh, hey,
Coach,
because that's an edge."
You done made me come out on my lawn again. I'm about to get on my.
That's an edge, though. That's why I say it.
Well, but here's the thing. You could have the playbook, practice tapes, game tapes, my routine, what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner leading to the game, what I like to put on, if I put my left sock on first each time. You could know any and everything. You still got to stop it.
Yes.
Okay, and so and all that effort and energy that you waiting on trying to figure out how I'm going to do this or that. How about if you teach your boys how to damn tackle somebody? Okay, and just defense to me, a defensive football player. He's a bit loose cannon with agility and alertness to react to what he sees unfolding in front of him. Okay,
yes.
And if we had to simplify, I know everybody wants to get all cute with this alphabet and language charts and all that. Man, you assign, look, man, you outside backer or edge rusher, as they call it now, whatever the hell all that is. But look, man, you got number 23, number 34, and the quarterback. You keep your eye on them all day long. Yeah. Don't you worry about nothing else. Okay, my line, man, plug these gaps. It ain't about you getting deep penetration. Just don't let nobody move you. Plug these gaps, and your linebackers go and get it. Go and get it. I mean,
look. This the other thing that I think that goes into it. Number one, you have to have manpower to go through that, because as a coach, your days are pretty much slotted. It gets so routine. You can't add a whole lot of other stuff. But then at the HBCUs, we don't have all those extra analysts and grad assistants and volunteers to go through that. Now, I talked to David Metcalf, who played safety at Prairie View. He was my graduate assistant when I coached at Texas Southern, went off, and now he's on the staff at the University of Georgia. as assistant DB coach. So one day we're talking about how many guys that they have that only coach football. And the number, I think, was in the 40s. So he said, like, they basically have one guy that works on the defensive side of the ball. All he charts is pass protections. The other guy may chart, just say if Georgia's playing against LSU this weekend, all he do is see what blitzes LSU didn't have success against. Another guy may go in and all he charts is personnel, like who they throw the ball to and whether they throw the ball to this guy. You know, it's like they have so much manpower, it's hard to miss a detail of what's going on. And then you think they have all that, the best players in the country, and still end up losing a game. So it's, you know, it's all that kind of stuff, but we don't have the manpower. So if they did have all the access that people think they had, the playbook don't mean anything. But at the end of the day, I think they making a big deal out of nothing, in my opinion, because it's Jackson State University.
Yeah, and I understand that. And, you know, it's so, like I said, when the dust settles, man, like you say, with the lack of manpower, while you trying to study huddle film and practice film, you done miss your damn bus and the flight and everything else. But, man, just go out there and play football. Just go out there and get it done.
Like I tell guys, man, you done fell for the push-up, bro. You missed everything else in front of you. You looking at all this other stuff and missed the main thing. So, you know, you can't, as a coach, get outside of what you normally do this time of year. So, and the bottom line is Jackson State defense so good, they probably can go into some games without practicing it because of the style of defense. Like I say, when you line it up and got one linebacker in the middle and 5 or 6 defense linemen in front of them, and you playing man-to-man across the board, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to score the football because you're not going to be able to run, or many teams not going to be able to run, and you don't have enough good wide receivers. You may have one wide receiver, but I bet if you go look at Pine Bluff's ball distribution from number 11 to everybody else, it's probably a 30 to 40 pass drop-off. So, you know, I just think they making a big deal out of nothing, in my opinion.
Well, all I say was a slow news day.
Yeah.
You know, a slow news day, and you had to get something out there to move some papers or get some clicks. You know, maybe I am just old, fuddy-duddy or nothing, but I don't even have time for that kind of effort and energy, man.
The bad thing about it, it was some great football games last week. If you think, and you say what you want, 16 to 17 is a good football game that come down to the last minute onside kick, the Prairie View game, the Southern Alabama A&M game, a 5-point game, the Alabama State Alcorn game was a last-second Hail Mary that was Alcorn caught the ball on Alabama State, maybe 3 or 4 yard line as time ran out.
Yes, sir.
So you think about, and that's not even talking about the MEAC game on Thursday night. It was some great football played in the SWAC last weekend.
Yes, sir.
The Grambling Bethune-Cookman was a 3-point game, so it was some good games. I enjoyed the football that I got to see last week. I enjoyed it.
Right, and you and I both. And as far as, you know, the stealing of signs, I don't care. I really don't care because it's not going to make me a better player. It's really not, Coach. Okay, it's coming. If I'm not strong enough, if I'm not willing to do the sacrifice or what it's going to take to get that guy down, what good is knowing they're coming left or right? Because you can only go 3 ways, Coach, left, right, or right at me.
Yeah.
I mean, but, you know, people got to talk about something. They got to talk about something. And I don't know why they got under my skin, but it did. But I'm old. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get off the lawn, and I'm gonna go back into the comforts of the man cave. But, you know, it's just crazy how we focus. And since we talking about focus, and we're going to do this, and we're going to wrap it up, I promise.
Yeah.
And we're going to get out the SWAC just for a moment. Now, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. I am not and have never been a Deion Sanders fan from his playing days. That had nothing to do with personally. I just, Faz as a cheater, he wasn't no big hitter. I was a linebacker, so I like the physical. I like the Ronnie Locks. I like the Cornell Lakes. I like the Jack Tatums and the guys like that. He was not that type of dude. The Mel Blunts, the physical players. Okay, but what he's done at Colorado, they are bowl eligible, and truth be told, got a chance of winning or at least going to the SWAC, not SWAC, but the Big 12 championship game.
Yes, sir.
I'm still swacking bread, so I'm swacking. And say what they want to say. Now they're talking about, well, he's trying to dictate where should do or go. It ain't no different from Archie Manning or what he did with Eli. Ain't no different than what John Elway did. And every 20 years or so, you'll get that phenomenon pop up, right? Because you had Elway did it, then Eli did it, now it's Shadour's turn. Okay? Say what you want to say. Don't hate on that man because he has a Midas touch. Okay? Don't hate on that man because he's making most of these folks eat their words. But he has had to make a believe out of a lot of his naysayers.
Yeah, like you say, the thing about it is that's what some people don't like, the fact that he said it and then they did it. But not only is he doing it, they're doing it at a faster pace than they thought. Because when they got off to the hot start last year and then Peter, I think in some people's eyes, man, that was the best thing that could have happened to them for their selfish reasons. The other thing is, we have to, and I'm gonna say we because I pull for them, is hope that they can finish strong. Because if they get off to they at a 6-2 clip right now, and they could drop these next 3 or 4, and then everybody's gonna be looking like, oh, what happened? Did they get distracted? Sometimes you're gonna be outmanned. But the fact that those jokers play hard, I think they are ahead of schedule, which makes some people think like almost in today's college game is not, you can't really do anything wrong because of NIL. But is there something more to it than meets the eye? But that man, you like I say, he made the right hires as assistant coaches. Bringing Warren, I don't care who his coordinators. I think bringing Warren Sapp with his edge in probably is the biggest and best hire that he could have made. And I just think that's big. So I'm like I said, I pull for him and hope they could.
I'm just hoping it ain't no stripper clubs in Colorado for Sapp to relapse. Then he'll be all right though.
Nah, man. Hey, but the thing, man, Colorado's so different in flight. I tell this story real quick. So my wife was in Colorado for a Lynx meeting a couple of years ago, and I'm not a weed smoker, but I don't care if people smoke weed or rhyme. They could sit next to me and smoke. I don't care, but that's just not something I do. I walked out of 7-Eleven, so marijuana is legal up there, and the guy was like, hey, man, you want some of this? And then he was like, if you like it, you can go get some more of it at this store right around the corner. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. So I'm saying, yes, sir. So first of all, if I did smoke weed, I'm not gonna smoke weed from a dude that's just giving it to me out of a can. I don't know what he done put in there. So I laugh about that, but like people think it's funny, or when I talk that, I'm not against it. I'm not, that's just not, and I have my reasons why I don't. But I just that's just not my thing. But hey, man, if you just imagine and I don't know even if they drug test out there, but I'm pretty sure knowing Deion, he probably tries to keep his guys away from it as much as possible. But at the same time, man, them jokers in college, so when they get a break, they gonna enjoy the legality.
Hey, that's your NIL hookup right there, man. Hey, man, so, you like that bud? Okay, we're gonna find us one of these little shops, and they gonna that's your NIL. They gonna hook you up, give you a bong and some bud. Hey, what they say, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. Well, look, if he loses every game that remains of the season, guess what, Coach?
Still bowl eligible.
They're still bowl eligible. And anybody prior to Deion coming, even when he first got there, said that in a 2-year swing that Colorado would be in a bowl position, they say you lying.
Yeah.
They say you lying. So, like I said, he's done his thing, you know, and look, all I can say is the SWAC gave him his first break.
Yeah,
you know,
a big break. And the good thing about it, I think his son and I'm going to say Shador and Travis do a great job of letting people know that they doing the same thing that they did at Jackson State. So I think that's a big plus for those guys, realizing the impact of them going to Jackson State, had. But I wish more of us could have capitalized on them. I think it was a flash and wish it would have lasted a little bit longer. But, it is what it is, though. You can't hate them for going to Colorado.
Right. And speaking of Jackson State, we want to say congratulations to Coach T.C. Taylor. Got him an extension, man.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's big for him. That's a good deal. Because, man, Jackson a hard place to – it's a good place to be, but it's a hard place to be because every time you lose, it's bad coaching no matter what the players do. It's bad coaching. Right. But the good thing, like, he's an alum, and, he's deep in the coaching. I think that's big for him. So I'm happy for him. Just being a SWAC alum myself. Like I said, even though it's one of my rival schools, but like I said, you got to be happy for him being able to withstand, because I think a lot of people expected a big drop off, and it hadn't happened yet. But like I say, Jackson is a place, if you got a competent coach, you're gonna always be viable as a SWAC championship team because of the history, because of the infrastructure that they have behind the scenes in the city of Jackson, where everybody there pretty much is pulling for Jackson State.
Absolutely. Well, look, we gave some bonus coverage today, Coach, and I truly appreciate it. Don't forget you can check out Coach Northern on the Open Mic Broadcast Network this weekend as the Panthers will host the FAMU Rattlers. Kickoff time will be 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. All you have to do is go to the website, obnradio.com. You can click Listen Live link, or you can dial 857-777-0000. I must exit stage left right now. My time is far spent. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter X at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And once again, the website,